For this video, I'm going to be talking about a topic that has garnered a lot of attention recently. If you hear anything, it has started pouring rain outside, and there's large thunderstorms coming, so I hope and pray that they weaken. It looks very, very bad, up to 80-mile-per-hour winds, and it looks, right on us. Had a subscriber of mine say that they hope and pray that everything is okay because they saw it coming right for us, and yes, I see that it is coming right for us, and I hope, and pray it weakens. Pray with me if you don't mind. But this is going to be a video talking about a topic that has made a lot of rounds as of recently. It's a very relevant topic, and it's regarding the police, regarding officers overstepping their authority. And I want to go ahead and up front, I want to say there are good officers and there are bad officers. There's good people, there's bad people. Every field, which they're now calling the term field offensive, but it's a crazy world. I don't know when we became so, I don't know when we became so insane. They're allowing, I just heard that they are allowing explicit acts, parents to take their children to, it will make you throw up. I'll just say it made me like nauseated, literally. Just I don't understand. Infants and children can be taken to, over in England they allowed it. They take them to very, I'll just say, explicit, some places where they'll touch them and do sexually explicit things. And I'm like, what kind of parents are these to begin with? Infants and toddlers. This is just weird. I don't know when this world became like this, but I guess it's satanic. But okay. That's not the topic of this video. I found that out on the radio. I heard it earlier on talk radio, and it was like, really, you just got to be kidding me. But police, a lot of times, I was speaking with a guy in Dollar General who used to be a police officer, and he actually served in the military until he got older. He served in the military and he's a police officer. He retired at 65, I think. He's around 65 years old, I think. And he was talking about situations that are taking place and the overstepping of authority that we see. And his name, I'll just initial him. I'll call him BH. That's even weirder, I guess, isn't it? BH, whatever. But anyway, he said that he used to be an officer, and he did not. He said, I saw all the things that goes on, and he said there's so many crooked ones. There's so many. He said that's the problem. Everywhere you go, even the small towns. He said the small towns are just as bad, just not as a high, they're just not as hard, not as high of a scale. They're not as high up on the scale. Small towns have the crimes just like the big cities. And he said that he said he got stopped by an officer just north of here in our county. And it was in the small town. And he told them, really? He said, you're going to stop me? And they said, yes, sir. He said, well, what's the grounds for stopping me? And he said, the officer told him, well, you were speeding. And he said he couldn't even get the answer right. And he said, speeding? Really? And he's like, my speed is tracked and I know exactly how much I was going. And he said, I was not going over the speed limit. Oh, yes, you were. And he said, I can show you I was not going over the speed limit. Well, he started talking to the officer and said, by the way, he said, I literally saw, as you're stopping me, multiple other offenses taking place going by. We got stopped out of county, a county just north of here. And I was shining my phone light to look for something and turn it off. And he stopped us and just wanted to harass us. And I was like, there were literally explicit, naughty things taking place, going on right down the road going down the road by us. People just showing off, revving their engines. One had a gun in the very back, big rifle. Other people were drinking beer, going down the road. And the officer was stopping us, a mother and her son, who were not committing any crime at all. Just happened to be heading home. Another time, the same thing happened. Saw all types of things. Saw lots of deals taking place. And I'm like, this happens everywhere. And yet those kind of people can surround an officer or a cop car, and that's no problem. They don't even, they're all paid off. But we get stopped after doing the laundry and coming home, and they're like, well, I just want to make sure you were all over the road. No, we weren't. We were not. She went off a little bit and veered off of her a moment because she was tired. She said, I'm really tired, and, we've been busy all day. That was months ago. And that same thing happened about several years ago. I'm going to tell a story from several years ago that happened. This officer who was he was very not military. He was just like in a certain section of police that is like very commanding, like this right here. And he followed us home from another county, past the county line. He wasn't even in his jurisdiction anymore. Like I said before, I think I told this story. My father was asleep in the passenger side. We just picked him up and took him home from work. And he was asleep. I was in the back seat. This was many years ago. I was like 18. And he followed us into our driveway and turned his blue lights on. And my daddy was about to get out of the vehicle, and he said, sir. And he told him, sir, I'll shoot you, sir. And he could have shot him right there. And he said, this is my house, and I'm going in. And he pulled the gun, but he didn't shoot. And he said, oh, I see this is your address. And then he was saying, who's that in the back seat? They said, that's my son. That's me. And he was acting like he's ready to break the window out. And he said, roll down the window. Who is that? And we rolled down the window, and I'm like, I don't understand this stuff. I'm just sitting in the back seat, and then another officer, a couple of years ago, just blinded us. He shined his high beams and his brights, and then he shined a bright beaming flashlight into my eyes, into our eyes from the side of us. Just went beside us and then raised up a light and almost made us go off the road because it was so bright. I mean, some of them do that. Then I met an officer in a town north of here who was really nice. And I'm nice to all of them as long as they don't say anything hateful to me. And I said, keeping the trouble out? And he said, trying to. And I said, running any crazies tonight? And they're like, and he said, phew, you know it. I wish they'd all go home. And I'll be nice to some of them, hold the door open for them. They appreciate that, and they want to know what my name is, and sometimes when I do nice things for them. And there's different levels of them. There's different kinds of them. But this guy who got stopped, oh man, the guy I'm calling Mr. B, he said, do you know how many people I've seen passing me doing several criminal acts? And some of them speeding. And he said, well, that's not what we're after, sir. And he said, I used to be an officer and I was in the military. And he said, I know the ins and outs. And he said, one day I'm running for mayor of this town. And he said, I'm going to fire all of y'all. And he said, you're just looking to meet your quota. You're looking for a quick and easy target. He said, someone that you think is an easy target. But he said, I am an ex-officer. And he just let him have it. And it just floored that officer. He said he changed his tune after he found that out. And he said, you're all a corrupt police force. And he said, one day I'm firing all the bad ones and keeping the good ones. But that's the way it is. Just like extortion, blackmail, dealing, inside jobs, dirty money. It all happens. But those are personal experiences of ours. And we have been followed just tonight. An officer was turned. He saw us coming because we took an old road. And then he turned and then shined his brights on us and followed behind us. And then he come back around. And he was up to no good, obviously. And then he follows back around. And then he went up this holler. And then he come back around. And it's just uncalled for. Don't harass the people who have done nothing. get the people doing the major crimes. Don't harass people that are just trying to get from point A to point B and carry on about their business and go back home. Anyway, and then there are officers that are worthy of being commended, or not commended, yeah, commended, I believe, applauded, and they deserve recognition for being one of the good ones. And you just don't see that enough. People that are the ones that are good deserve the recognition, and the other ones deserve to be shown for what they are. And I mean, it's just, you can't put everyone in the same boat. If we don't have some sort of police force, bad things are going to happen if you don't have some sort of authority. But we need a boundary in place where there is not, and there will not be, an overstepping of that authority. If you have an overstepping of your authority and your position of power, and you're taking advantage of your position, then you are the criminal yourself. And that is the point that people need to see. That's the point that the officers need to see. And I know they're military mode trained mind, some of them, and some of them are shoot first, ask questions later mentality. Kind of like when military people come back and then they're in that mindset, that aggressive mindset, and then they go through what they call PTSD, the post-traumatic stress disorder, and shell shock. They used to call it shell shock, and then they originally called it something else. They tried to come up with softer terms for it, and gave them less and less help over time. They just say, "Oh, people used to tell you, suck it up, Nancy," or they used to tell you to that you should just hold it in and just suck it up. But then they realize, even military people, they would tell them that, but then they'd realize, hey, and don't get me for saying anything offensive when I said that either. I know how people are, but that's just the way it was and the way they said it. But, military people and police officers, excuse me, they can both, I've got the hiccups, they can both have authority issues. They can overstep their authority, position of power, and I've witnessed a lot of it myself. And we need boundaries set in place so that they don't overstep their position of power. Officers do that way too much, and they need to actually do the job. And there are good ones, a lot of good ones, and a lot of bad ones. That's all I got to say. Share your own experiences.